Hi, I'm Elizabeth from the Pharmabees team from Cardiff University, and today I'm going to be showing you how to test your soil texture by doing a soil jar test. So soil is made of lots of different components, including physical, biological, and chemical components, and how these components interact will determine a soil's characteristics. One of those characteristics is the soil texture, and there are three primary soil particles, which are called sand, silt, and clay. The relative percentages of these components make up the soil's texture, and texture is important to the overall soil and plant health. We're going to be using this simple jar test to determine the soil texture of the soil in our backyard. So the materials you're going to need today are a clear jar. Any sort of clear jar will work. You could use a Kilner jar, a mason jar, or I even use an old jam jar, which I'll show you later. I've already filled with soil. You're going to need a measuring tape and a permanent marker, as well as a hand trowel to dig the soil out of the ground. And then an optional step is to add about a teaspoon of dishwasher powder. So that'll just be dishwasher powder detergent, and that will make the results more clear. If you don't have that, don't worry about it. You can do without. It's just a little bit more difficult to see the lines. So if you're doing your soil jar test at home, you're going to need a clear jar. So I have an old jam jar that I've washed out, and any kind of clear jar will work, and you're going to want to fill it about 2/3 of the way with soil. So if you don't have a backyard and you live in a flat like I do, you can take some soil while you're on your daily allocated walk. So, also if you don't have a spade, you can improvise just like I'm going to show you right now. So you're going to want to dig about to root depth. You're going to want to remove any sort of sticks or debris on top, and you're just going to want to get the soil. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for you. And if you do get a little bit of debris in there, don't worry right away. When you get home, you can use a colander and kind of sort out some of the other stuff. Alright. As you can see, I have this clear jar. It's an old jam jar, and it's filled with soil that I collected yesterday. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the lid of the jar, and I'm just going to fill the rest of it with water up to the top. Make sure not to overflow it. Perfect, and we'll just put the lid back on. Okay, now that we have the water in our jar, we're going to need to shake it. So I like to shake the jar to a song, but you're going to want to shake it into a uniform slurry, which is going to take about 3 to 5 minutes. And you can play your favorite song while shaking the jar, so we're going to do that. And if you get tired, have a friend help you out. So, ready? We're going to start. So after shaking the jar and making sure that it's completely uniform and completely shaken up, we're going to leave it in the windowsill overnight, and we're going to check it tomorrow. It's right next to my celery experiment that I showed you guys in a different video. But we will come back tomorrow and see how this goes. This is my jar full of soil that I've let sit overnight, and you can see the 3 layers here. It might be a little bit hard to see on this video, so I'll upload a photo of it. But there is a layer that ends right here that I've marked with a Sharpie, and then the 2 other layers are really, really thin and tiny right at the top. I don't know if you can see my markings, but they're right about there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to measure the distance between those markings, and I'm going to fill them in on my worksheet. So I've taken my measurements using a ruler, and I use millimeters. You can use centimeters as well. Just make sure that all of your measurements are in the same unit in order to get accurate results. So here I've written down the height of all of my layers. So remember that the clay layer is at the bottom, the silt layer is in the middle, and the sand layer will be at the top. It's likely that the sand layer will be quite tiny unless you have really sandy soils, but most soils in the UK are not very sandy. So then I did the math here, which you can see, and I got my percentages. So now we're going to take those percentages and we're going to look at the soil texture triangle and figure out which type of soil we have. So I've taken the percentages and I found that the soil that I sampled is a silty clay loam. And you want to find where all 3 of the lines connect, and if you need help drawing your lines. If you want to follow the instructions on the download, that should help you out. And if you want to share your soil results with us, tag us at Pharmabees and let us know what kind of soil you have in your backyard. So we have a silty clay loam soil here. And so loams are a fairly fertile and well-drained, easily workable soil, so plants really like it. Clay is going to make it a little bit harder to drain, and the silty soils compact really easily, so it's kind of a mixture of those three things. So it should be really good for plants, but we're also going to want to be careful and make sure that it doesn't compact. Alright, so thanks for tuning in, and make sure to download the worksheet along with this guide so that you can do this experiment at home yourself.